I have an idea that I'm going to share with you guys. I travel all over the world, as some of you may know, and I get a lot of questions. Like one question that I always get is, how does this scale, Jurgen, to larger organizations, all these ideas that you have? And another question that I get is, how do we measure the progress of organizational transformation? How do we know that we're better today than we were yesterday? Or another question that I get is, how do we balance the hierarchy versus the network, or the being efficient versus being effective? And another question that I always get is, how do we install the frameworks? Implement holacracy, how do we implement SAFe, how do we implement the Spotify model? All these questions, they come up again and again. I was in New York earlier this year in the summer, doing my book tour, and I was sitting at Union Square, and in the evening reading my book, and I had a look around me, and there were lots of people there, all kinds of hair colors, skin colors, body types, clothes, etc. A huge diversity of people at Union Square, but all of them were playing Pokemon Go. It was insane. I was the only one reading a book there. And then it occurred to me, I thought, trying so hard, changing companies, years go into convincing 300 people to adopt a new method or something. And within 2 weeks, millions of people play a game. Isn't that strange? So I thought, we have to make it a game. We have to stop installing frameworks on people, and we have to start playing games with each other. Let's make scaling a game. Can we do that? Well, this is my suggestion at least. I want you to consider a team or a business unit or a company, something that you are responsible for and that you feel part of, and that you would like to help change. And you're going to be the adventurer. Think Indiana Jones with a cute little short or something like that. And you'll be the adventurer leading that team or business unit or company to treasure. That will be interesting. Step one would be to pick a topic. You would have a board full of topics, and one of them might be purpose, for example. You could pick purpose. That would be the first challenge that you're going to address, the first monster that you're going to kill with your team. How does that work with purpose? Okay, step two, we're going to do purpose. There are lots of options. You could read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. Awesome book, lots of suggestions and inspiration. Or you could try the Ikigai model. Fascinating. It says that you could have some talents, and you should love your job, and also you should find a need in the market and something that people are willing to pay for, and then in the middle is a sweet spot that could be your purpose. Or there are some management 3.0 practices, of course, work expositions or visual goal setting that you could look into. It doesn't really matter which practice you pick. There's so many practices, at least as you do something with your team. So you pick a practice and you discuss with your team, and then you need to test. Do we have a purpose that works? We need to check if the purpose is working. Now, as an example of a purpose, I'm going back to the USA, where at one moment I was standing at the security line with the TSA, the security agency, being really, really annoyed that they took my computer aside for an extra test, and it took them like 10 minutes, and I sort of was making them known that I was feeling annoyed at the slow process that they had there, and which is dangerous to do there, I would say. But anyways, the lady in question was very gentle, and she said, but we're trying to do this so that you are safe on the plane. And that was a good answer to all my frustration. And I thought, it doesn't really matter which person I ask, why are you doing this? And I disagree with about 9 out of 10 things of the rituals that they do and the security, but probably they will have the same answer. We want you to be safe on the plane. They know the why of why they're doing those things. So let's go back to the purpose test. How do we test if purpose is working? Well, we do not simply check, do we have a mission statement somewhere written down? That's not enough. That is not a purpose if you have just written down something. You should ask why. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Maybe you'll have to ask 5 times every now and then. to get to the core of what they're doing. And if there's a pattern across the answers that people come up with, and it resonates with the mission statement that you have somewhere, then your purpose is working, right? Then you have passed the test. So that was the purpose test. So let's suppose you've passed the purpose test, then we're going to validate, we're going to evaluate. The last, almost the last step of this little exercise. And that is checking against the agility scale that I have here. That's basically the same as delegation levels. Where did that purpose come from? Did it come from some manager who said, this is your purpose? That would be like the TSA. They said, this is the purpose of what you're doing here. That's security. You're making people safe on the plane. Or would it be completely self-organized? It's over there. That's the pink area. A purpose emerged on the self-organizing team. It could be yellow. That means management came up with, management defined it, but with input from the team. Or it could be blue. That means the team defined it, but management has some suggestions. Could be anywhere. Now, over there we have hierarchy, over there we have network. Over there we have centralization, over there we have decentralization. That is efficiency, having one person make all decisions for everyone. Over there we have effectivity, more local implementations, more local decisions. None of these are good or bad, those are all options. Let's say you have in the middle, you pick the middle one, green, that was management and the team decide together. Now we go celebrate. Yay! We scored our first points. Woo! 100 points. In the agility scales game, I would say. And that goes onto your scoreboard. Now you have your first 100 points and you earned those, you collected those as adventure with your team. But that's not the only one. There's more to do. We could also check out identity, values, name, tagline, objectives. These are all topics that we could investigate as adventurer in our team or a company, which is all about sending people in a certain direction. That's alignment. And we could have them on our task board or improvement board or whatever. Play the game and test them all to see if we have earned our points. And if we earn our points, they could all go on the scoreboard over there. And this is not the only part of the scoreboard. The scoreboard is a lot bigger because we also have improvement topics and performance topics and environment topics. That's the workspace. What does it look like? Where do people work? What kind of tools do they use? Or grouping, that is, how do teams get together? What does team membership mean? How are teams linked across multiple teams, etc.? All of these topics to investigate as an adventurer. And we can score all over the place with the skills. So, as you can see, you're the adventurer and you should lead your team to treasure, or you should lead your company to a treasure. But what does that treasure give you? Well, hopefully, at some point, you will have enough accumulated in the game that you get, I don't know, free books or something, or a conference ticket, or perhaps access to a workshop, preferably like with Indiana Jones and all other kinds of adventure games. The stuff that you win is going to help you with the next level, make that more easy to pass the test with the more difficult topics over there. How do you define who's the leader of the team, or how do you deal with compensation in the company? We just heard about salary formulas earlier in this room. And by storing all of this in a central database, and maybe have different people and in the world, different teams do this kind of a game, we could run some comparisons. Are we slower or faster than others in the world, reorganizing our company with all these scales? And hopefully we have a big mess of teams and units and circles and guilds and whatever, playing all these skills in one way or another. And people would self-organize into, perhaps they could form a safe train or whatever. You don't implement it, but it could emerge out of the game because of the decisions that people make all across the different teams and units. Or maybe what emerges from all that game playing is a holacracy hierarchy with circles and subcircles and all that stuff. Or maybe what emerges is the Spotify model with tribes and guilds and squads and you name it. Anything could emerge if you just give all these individual little Lego building blocks and have them play the game. But most likely what emerges is something that some people would call teal. Because the control would be with all the individual teams and business units. And they should start playing the game and earn themselves some points. So if you think this is an interesting idea, I have some people ask me, what is my next book, next project? This is it, all right? You're interested? Sign up. Thank you so much.